This reflection starts by telling a brief story about a man named Howard Thurman, a Black American who is remembered and respected as a national treasure. Thurman was a spiritual master who taught, mentored, wrote, and preached at many universities and church communities, from Howard University in D.C. to an inclusive new church community in San Francisco, which also included members at large from far and wide. Even Boston University had him for a time. Thurman also engaged personally in India with Gandhi about nonviolence, and he spent an important semester at Haverford College with the Quaker mystic, educator, and peace worker Rufus Jones. This encounter with Jones, Thurman describes, as a watershed experience, one that would inform the rest of his working life. Reflecting on Jones, Thurman writes, "He gave to me confidence in the insight that the religion of the inner life could deal with the empirical experience of people without retreating from the demands of such experience." Thurman came to understand that the authentic inner life of religion or spirituality must be engaged in the world with all its problems and tensions, because at its core, the inner life is profoundly life-affirming. Thurman was born in 1899 in Florida, and he died in 1981. His own father died when he was young, so his mother and grandmother, a former slave, raised him. Segregation almost eclipsed the fullness of his life, but he and his family and their community's determination got him through. He passed a grade school equivalency and graduated valedictorian from high school, earning a scholarship to Morehouse College, followed by Rochester Theological Seminary. His first pastorate was in Oberlin, where he was known for honoring the members' capacity for spiritual growth, and for leading a house of worship where all were welcome. One Chinese student who had attended services regularly and was returning to China wrote him a thank you note which said, "When I close my eyes and listen with my spirit, I am in my Buddhist temple experiencing the renewing of my own spirit." Thurman recalled the note and wrote of the experience, "I knew then what I had only sensed before. The barriers were crumbling. I was breaking new ground, yet it would be many years before I would fully understand the nature of the breakthrough." Thurman was learning and exploring his own tradition, but with an innate wisdom to not freeze the boundaries of his tradition such that he made it unable to speak meaningfully to those outside of that tradition, or unable to learn from other traditions or from other ways of interpreting the world. Thurman was instrumental in contributing to and helping to shape a new, nonviolent ethic to bring about social and racial justice. The Catholic tradition has a rich history that includes both openness to new and diverse thoughts, as well as periods of protective narrowness. Today, the Catholic Church officially and robustly encourages engagement and dialogue with other Christian traditions, other religious traditions of faith, with non-believers, and with the scientific and arts communities. The Church teaches that while Catholics can have total faith in that their tradition is a valid path to know and grow in relationship with the divine, it cannot claim to be the only valid path, primarily because the Church is not an expert about all other ways and paths. Howard Thurman was not rooted in the Catholic intellectual tradition as such, but he instinctively knew the principle on which CIT rests. Nothing of creation is outside of divine mystery. No one, no thing. Therefore, from all aspects of life, we can learn something about the divine, about ourselves, and about why we are here. The Catholic intellectual tradition values and invites all people of goodwill to the table of dialogue, where we seek deeper understanding of reality, history, and truth. However, this is not so diverse voices can have a grand smash-up free-for-all. Rather, our goal, our mission, is to grow in understanding, wisdom, and charity. Thus, how we come to the table and enter dialogue are critically important. And rest assured, as you know all too well, there will be conflicts over what values or ideas hold the greatest sway at any one place and time. For example, in the Catholic tradition, freedom is about freedom to do the good. We are essentially not free and not taking part in authentic freedom if we are doing evil and harm in the world. We are instead about a false concept of freedom. More so, what does free speech mean? In Buddhism, one of the eightfold paths is right speech. Are there social norms or guardrails to freedom of speech in a civil and just society and at an institution of higher learning, at a Mercy Catholic college or university? How do we value inclusiveness, hospitality, and welcomeness, and at the same time grow in our ability to listen and explore beyond our comfortable bubble of thought and belief? What is the length and quality of my attention? How long before I look at my phone? What if your speech discomforts me and causes me anxiety? Do I resent being discomforted? Is anxiety necessarily bad? What is it showing me or inviting me toward? Is it alerting me to something I need to care about or learn more about what it is? Can an institution of higher learning be about the search for truth and greater understanding of reality and history, and be a teaching institution if it avoids at all costs making anyone feel uncomfortable? How do we explore when we are discomforted? What carries the conversation and learning process into more scholarly inquiry, research, dialogue, and learning? How do I hold in creative tension the value of welcomeness and the value of diverse perspectives? What are methods, norms, and practices that my institution values and uses to foster and teach intellectual, professional, religious, political, and civic dialogue? Is there an expectation of all members of the community regarding learning dialogue? Is our discourse enhanced or stifled? The Catholic intellectual tradition is rooted in questions: curiosity, dialogue, respect, appreciation, and learning, processes that are always in motion, never complete. Yet it is also rooted in a broad sense of great mystery, and the notion of a profound, transcendent, creative power of love and goodness that inspirits all of creation. CIT is not just about the external world of empirical knowledge. The best of CIT holds that empirical knowledge depends on the inner wisdom of people too, which requires deep thought, reflection, humility, and even sacrifice. Howard Thurman was a wise man. He worked for social justice throughout his life. But first he attended to the inner life, noticing how the spirit of all of life lived in him and around him in every way, in the midst of joys and sufferings. The mystery whom he called God was vast and untamable, and personal and caring. Any idea that reduced this mystery to a box and carry God was simply a reduction. Thurman's world was filled with discomfort and challenge, but the center of his being could incorporate new ideas and simultaneously, even paradoxically, hold to wide, life affirming principles that communicated across political, racial, gender, and religious divides. Being communities of welcome and hospitality is not anathema to being places of diverse and challenging thoughts and dialogue.